Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower.
Well, a bibbity bappity boo, do we have a show for you? Hey, what's up, Bethany?
Hi.
Hey guys, welcome to the Health or High Water podcast. I am your host, Tripp Parks, with our co-host, Bethany Sturgis. How are you doing?
Beep, 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 beep. Good.
So guys, we are missing Brett Hutari today. He is off in Florida, either hunting for old people because there's so many down there, or trying to hunt for sharks. We don't know. It's up for discussion for next week, but we'll get the skivvy on that next week.
It's only one or the other. It's nothing in between.
Looking for Steve Irwin. Follow me, Stingray. Well, guys, we're here. We want to thank all of you guys for, number one, listening to this podcast, making it an international success. We're in over 45 countries right now, in over 45 states. Tons of downloads thanks to you guys. So if you guys could like, share, and subscribe, it would mean the absolute world to us. Every little bit helps building this podcast up, getting better guests on every time. We already have amazing guests, but, we always want to shoot higher. I always want to have Buzz Aldrin on here.
Yeah.
Talk to an astronaut? Are you kidding me? So if anyone you
That'd
guys know,
cool.
if you guys know Buzz, like
Send him over.
send me on my way. But hey guys, today we're talking about injuries, injury prevention, and recovery. As you guys know, Bethany is a pelvic floor specialist. She also does PT massage here at her studio, Pelvic Harmony. We do some recovery stuff here with our genetics, figuring out injury prevention, those kind of things, how best to recover. So we're going to talk today a little bit about what we do to recover, about how you guys should be thinking about recovery and how important recovery is. And I'm going to start asking you some stuff here, Bethany, because you're kind of the recovery specialist in the building.
In the house.
In the house of purpose, which is a church upstairs. But I'm sure you have people coming in that are completely, or not completely immobile, but pretty immobile and having some issues. When you're having these clients come in, like what's your process and like figuring out like, hey, like this person's got a messed up hip, and what's your kind of intake process on that?
Yeah, the first thing, I definitely try to look at all of their past occupations, chronic positions they've been in over time, whether that was from their job or just hobbies or habits. And kind of look at how that has factored into where they are now, looking at me, and go over any old injuries, any old surgeries, go over with them how that can impact and may have factored into where they are now. So that's a pretty long conversation, usually in depth, especially if they have multiple issues. We're looking at a lot of different areas.
Yeah, and typically it's never just one thing.
Yeah.
It's always like, hey, this person's shoulder's messed up, but their trap is all tight, and then you have to loosen the trap up, and oh my God, my back is hurting now. It's like, well, you had a back injury that you didn't take care of.
Yeah, it's all connected.
It's all connected, and one of the biggest things that we try to teach is symmetry. You know what I mean? If you're working out your back a lot, you got to work out your chest. If you're working out, all these different things, it's all connected. So when you find an injury, are you looking for other things that are around it that could have caused a problem? Like what's that look like?
Yeah, I'll look at all the muscles surrounding, all the joint movement of the surrounding areas. If there is any imbalance or weakness or extra tension versus the other side. All that.
Well, you fixed my back, a few months ago when I was flying like crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was my back. I think it was like my hip flexors and my glutes and everything else was just pulling the crap out of my back. And it's 100% true. Like, when someone comes with an injury, it's like, hey, listen, it's probably not, if someone's got a knee injury, it's like, it's probably not your knee. It might be your hip flexors pulling too hard, or
could be your ankle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why it's so important for full recovery. So you're a fit person. You go do your things. What's your recovery program look like for you?
Yeah. So I really like doing some good stretches immediately after a workout, but also just active rest days, walking, hiking, something that's not too strenuous on any one muscle group, any one joint in particular, something that still gets my heart rate up, increases my circulation for all those healing of those tissues. Skiing, very fun. Good mental recovery there too.
Yeah.
And just hydration and nutrition, especially after really tough workouts.
That's important, like if your body's not fueled properly, it's not going to recover properly. It doesn't recover properly, you're going to set yourself up for a potential injury, down the road. And, talking about the genetic stuff, I know we did mention a little bit about injury prevention and those kind of things, but we're predisposed for certain injuries, certain recoveries. Like some of us don't recover the same as other people, Someone could do like a heavy chest day, and then 2 days later come and do another heavy chest day again, and they're fine. And then like me, 48 days later, I'm still crunched over a barrel.
48 days.
48 days later. I think there's a movie about that. That's actually what I look like after I leave the gym. So
Yeah.
That was someone for 48 days.
Oh gosh.
But getting into recovery and home routines, what do you think that someone could do at home that would benefit them in recovering, making sure that they, are avoiding injuries and trying to take care of themselves?
Yeah. I think other than hydration and nutrition, have a mirror somewhere in your house, preferably somewhere close to where you sit a lot, like on the couch, and just look at your posture, look at yourself throughout the day, and self-correct that way, because a lot of people don't know what they actually look like when they're relaxing and watching TV, and your neck is screaming at you 2 hours later, and you're not sure why. What else was I going to say?
If it's gonna snow, put ice cubes down the toilet.
What?
That way you don't have school tomorrow. You never heard that?
No. Another thing people can do, just start with some basic like mobility movements at home, and you're best off finding those from a personal trainer or a PT, because they can recommend some pretty basic ones just to start at home. And then based on how you feel with those, you can adjust, you can progress, you can move into other joints also in different movements. And it could be like 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be your whole morning, your whole evening. You can start very small and incrementally increase.
No, I agree. And I think adding yoga to like some certain motions and whatnot, understanding there's between static and dynamic stretching, and when to utilize those things before and after a workout. Like, I know like warm-ups isn't really part of recovery, but I'm going to talk about it real quick, because it's I think it's part of recovery. It's part of us starting that recovery process before we even work out. There was a study done by, I think it's a Rutgers University doctor about stretching before you work out, basically saying that like, doing these really hard, like long stretches as almost like pulling a rubber band out of a freezer. And I started, stopped stretching before I worked out and started doing things like, hey, I'm gonna go to a treadmill. I'm going to put it at full incline, and I'm going to walk up it for 10 to 15 minutes, alternating sides, backwards, forwards, whatever I have to do. And I saw a huge difference in my ability and strength in the gym, as well as, knock on wood, haven't had a bad injury in a while. So like I as well as understanding how our bodies works different too. It's huge. So like you said, like going to a PT, going to personal trainer, going to just your health professionals about how your body works. Try to get tested if you can, blood work, genetic test, and understand like what your body's doing.
There's those like hip circles are really good before a workout. Just leg swings, go through all your range of motion, stretch your neck out, just do neck circles, shoulder circles, just get the blood flowing, get it warmed up. Last thing you want is an injury before your workout even starts.
Pissed. I've done that before. Like the hypothetical stepping on a Lego before you do something. And it's like, oh, damn it. No, damn it. Do you think that kids and, older people need to recover differently? And I'm not trying to stump you here. I'm just kind of asking.
I think kids definitely recover faster. Yes. So I think they need, if they have the basics, they're pretty good. What do you think about the elderly?
I think that it's more important for us to explain and teach young people about how to take care of themselves, but I think it's more important to spend time with the older people to teach them the right ways to do it. So I think for me, it's just about setting up the right program or right thing. So I mean, if there's just like a kid that wants to be fit, like I'm not gonna say spend 20 minutes stretching in the morning and do that, but if they're playing a sport and they want to excel at it, it's like, hey, listen, like, we got to do a little bit more. But for elderly people, it's a little bit harder because then you're talking about certain mobility issues, maybe disease or something like that. So it's really hard for especially older people that haven't done a lot of physical fitness in their past to get them in that right spot. And
you need to have more options in your wheelhouse for the elderly, because they need those like adjustments, different ways to do things, because they can't bend down and touch their toes. And they can't reach behind their back sometimes, even if their shoulders are really, really in rough shape. So they need different strategies to get functional stuff done. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and we teach at that Belfort. A lot of those elderly people, they don't have little to no range of motion. Some of them can't even walk. So you have to really think on the fly. How can I keep them involved with these workouts, these stretches, these programs, without making them feel discluded? Discluded? Is that a word?
No.
Not included?
I'm gonna say no.
We're gonna let's check it.
Excluded.
Excluded. There we go.
There it is. We're smart.
There's Tripp making up words again.
I hear Brett in the dictionary. That's not a word.
He's saying it, yelling it all the way from Florida.
Yeah.
He's wrestling alligators right now, yelling it. Trying to wrestle me some gators. But yeah, I mean, we do have to take everybody differently, and age is it's a huge indicator. I do think that older people should take more time on their recovery. Like you said, younger, your hormones are better, your organs are better, everything's a little more effective. So I do think that you spend more time on teaching the kids how to do it, but spend more time with the elderly people on how to do it if they don't have any experience. That's kind of my 2 cents.
So you have a factor in your genetic testing that looks at injury. What's the word I'm looking for? Predispose.
Yes.
Ness.
Yeah. So with our genetic test, we're actually able to find out through the allele. I think it's COL51A. There's different variations of that we can actually say, hey, listen, you have a higher risk for Achilles rupture, ACL ruptures, tendinopathy, shoulder separations, and we can find out through biomechanical assessments, mixing with our genetic test to be like, hey, you have a terrible gait function, you have COL1A15 that's unfavorable, like. You're already playing football, the likelihood of you having an ACL rupture goes through the roof, right? Because now we're having genetic factors and epigenetical or environmental factors to talk about. So then we can kind of see like an injury before it happens. So we're able to do something called prehab instead of rehab, which I think is going to be a game changer for sports and especially for kids, right? They're riddled with injuries nowadays.
Yeah, I feel like they do that mildly, but very generally in sports now. And the biggest prehab area that I see right now is just before surgery.
Yeah.
When people go in before surgery, you'll do your prehab, but it's only because something's coming. If you could do it and avoid something coming, that'd be great.
Well, I know I beat the horse with this metaphor, but it's like a GPS, right? And imagine taking all the GPSs out of our cars, we'd be screwed.
Yeah.
Everyone would be perpetually lost. And I think this is the same thing as this preventative medicine is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's way more effective than our current health program right now is understanding what's ahead of us or potentially ahead of us, right? I mean, we're just going to get more and more defined as we go along, but injuries are game changers for people. Some people don't come back from injuries.
Yeah.
So if we can figure out what happens, what's happening right now and what could potentially happen down the road, we can avoid these terrible disasters. Not even just injuries, like even with my mom's stroke. Like if I would have had a genetic test and some blood work to be like, hey, listen, like you already got a high risk for stroke, you smoke, you don't eat well, you don't work out, like your epigenetical factors going through the roof. I was like, it's not if, it's when it's going to happen.
Yeah, if we don't change some factors. Yeah. And if you're listening and you haven't done genetic testing yet, something you can look at in the meantime for general injury prevention, just don't increase your load too much too fast. If you're not running, don't go out and do a half marathon. If you're not climbing, don't go out and climb 10,000 mountains. And you have to gradually go up. That's one of the biggest things I see that causes injuries with all ages. They're like, oh, I really wanted to go do this with my friends, so I did, and then now I can't walk.
Yeah, and then it ruins it for them.
Yeah.
And then it ruins it because you have that motivation, like, oh, I'm going to go do it, yeah. I'm going to get this done. Like you go do a heavy lift, and you're broken for a week because your body's not used to that. And I'm kind of going through the same thing right now. Like I've been not working out. I've been kind of telling you, like I've been working out well. I lost a whole 30 pounds of muscle. And I'm kind of starting back up, and I went to the gym with Brett yesterday. Yeah. And I was like lifting. I was like, I got to slow down. Nice. Like I'm going to be screwed tomorrow. Yeah. I feel like ass today.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. But it's a good feeling. But for people that haven't done that in the past and don't know what the limitations are, like that you go full bore at the gym, you don't know your limitations, and then next thing you know you're hurt, or even worse is you got a nasty taste and fitness in your mouth. It's like this is what it feels like.
Right.
It's
scarred.
terrible. Yeah.
And especially if you're doing something like kickboxing or boxing or impact things, and you go in with no training towards that, you're gonna fracture something, and then you're gonna hate it, like you said. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then like we do when we go to the gym and we tear muscle, right? That's what we do at the gym, but we also impact bone density by microfractures. What someone who doesn't have those microfractures and doesn't have that muscle density that everyone else does, you go to the gym or you go out for a run, you go mountain biking, whatever, and you break your leg or whatever, it's because you don't have those stress fractures and healing that other there's other people that do have it. Their bodies are prepared
Stronger,
for it.
yeah. Specifically stronger for that activity, that sport.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, you take like someone who's into martial arts, and you take a normal person, you do an X-ray on their hands, is they're going to have different bone densities in their hands.
Yeah, that's something I think is so cool.
It's so
I love
awesome.
it.
To think that they're punching like a wall or something like that,
Yeah.
they're punching a bag, and like they're repetitively doing so much that they're these micro fractures, and then they get thicker, and the bone fills out, and it gets thicker, it gets stronger. Is you can actually change your body composition completely. I think that's what the most magical things about wellness is. I know we're kind of going a little off topic of recovery and stuff like that, but my first time in the gym when I was 12, my very first time, like I went to a bodybuilding gym with my brother, and everyone there was fit. Like, I mean, jacked and everything like that. And like I realized when I was 12, I was like, oh my God, you can come to the gym and you can make anything you want.
Yeah.
You can do anything you want here.
Yeah.
As long as you take the time and dedication, you can build whatever you want to do.
It's cool.
It's a different way to look at it, right? Instead of it at being a job, it's like, listen, this is a place I can go and I can build myself into anything I want to be. I could be a runner, I could be a football player, I could be a fitness influencer, I could do whatever I want. And there's not a lot of places, especially in today's day and age, where we have a positive place that we can go do something like that. Going to church has gone down, communities have gone down. We don't do block parties anymore. We don't talk to our neighbors.
I don't know my neighbors.
See, and I'm same with me.
I'll say it.
But I do think that, going to the gym with friends and stuff like that is fun because you can go back, recover together. Be like, hey, listen, we got our protein shit together. Let's get a stretch out together.
Yeah.
Let's eat together. I think a really important part of recovery and injuries and injury prevention is surrounding yourself with a good community of people that want to do the same thing. Your
accountability. Yeah.
It's true, though. You are the 5 people you hang out with the most. Excuse me. Jimmy Johnson's coming up. For those of you guys in other countries that don't know what Jimmy John's is, it's the most beautiful sub ever created.
Well, that's, debatable.
On next episode, we should debate sandwiches.
All the sandwiches. I know Brett will yell at us if we don't talk about sleep and recovery.
Oh, Brett, you even haunt us when you're not here.
Yeah.
He must be in the walls or something like that.
I know.
I hope he listens to this episode.
He will. Oh, that's it on sleep.
That's sleep. No, but I was actually, it's funny, we talked about that this morning. Called my dad.
Yeah.
And it sounded like there's like construction stuff going around. And typically when I call in the morning around that time, it's 5 o'clock our time, 7 o'clock their time. They're usually eating breakfast. Yeah. So I was like, what's Dad, what's going on? He's like, oh, well, I'm at work. I was like, are you with Mom? Because he brings her to work sometimes. Like, oh, no, she's at home. And for you guys at home that don't know, my mom has dementia. So I was panicking this morning. Like, why aren't you home?
Why is she at home?
It's like, oh, well, she was up in the middle of the night playing games, and she was asleep when I left. And I was like, you can't just leave someone alone like that. And I think he kind of needed a few minutes out of the house to himself, to be honest. But
she probably needs to sleep.
But I was telling, yeah, exactly. And I was like, Dad, like, to make sure that this phone, her playing these games in the night, isn't a normal thing because it can fuck with her sleep patterns. Yeah. And if you fuck with your sleep patterns, cortisol goes up, hormones get all fluctuated. Immune system goes down. Sleep is so important to every little bit of who we are. And when I hear someone's like, oh, well, if you sleep 5 hours, like they're proud of it, I'm like, your poor brain.
Like, and how do you feel about that?
Well, then they always tell you, oh, no, I feel fine. It's like, it's like, well, you wouldn't know because you don't sleep. You don't know the difference.
Yeah, and your quality of sleep, like.
Oh, yes.
Sorry. I see such a big difference on the weekend if I have an alcoholic drink too close to sleep. I just don't sleep well, and I feel it in the morning, and it's not horrible. Like, I can function, but it's definitely noticeable.
Let's talk alcohol for recovery. That's actually good. Like, this is actually my first week. I haven't had one drink this week.
Yeah?
Not one.
What day is it? Thursday.
So
nice.
I haven't had one since Saturday.
Yeah.
So I mean, so for you guys don't know, I'm a decently heavy drinker for the most part, but I started on this new workout program, and I'm like, talking recovery, it's not going to help me get to where I want to go.
It'll drag you backwards.
In literally every single fashion, right? So you just talked about sleep. It will destroy REM.
Yeah.
And as well as we're talking about muscle growth and bone density growth, it will rob you of your nutrients.
Your hydration.
It's a diuretic.
Yeah.
Right? Do you know how that works though? Like why like you pee like that when you're drinking?
No.
So what happens is, as far as I know, if you guys listen, to make sure you fact check the shit out of me. Don't start a ruckus online about this, but as I know is what happens is it tricks your kidneys into staying open. So like after you break the seal, that's why it happens is it's already full and it just stays open. So as soon as water or as soon as fluid gets into it, you have to pee again. It's just throwing water, all your hydration into it. That's why so dehydrated.
Horrible for your pelvic floor. PSA.
Preach.
Yeah.
As well as again, like with muscle growth, with nutrition absorption, I know it has an effect on nutrition absorption. And typically when we drink, we're not eating good foods, right?
Yeah. Anytime, beer and alcohol in general is pretty carby. And when you're taking in carbs, your body is really like into storage mode. So whatever you're eating with those is going into storage. Yep. So your fried foods, your burgers, your chips and guac.
Well, and those are all simple carbohydrates that automatically turn into sugar, which is a quick, short fuel source, right? It's really fast acting. Then you crash, and that's why you get so sleepy when you're drinking, and then when you sleep, you don't feel like you're rested because it's fucking up your REM.
Yep. And put that with drinking and then sitting and scrolling on your phone before you go to bed, you're not sleeping.
No. That blue light is so bad for you.
Horrible.
It's so bad for you.
Even if you have the filter setting on your phone, which I do after a certain time, it has the blue light filter. Still, just the screen time and the dopamine. Yeah.
That's why I wear these glasses. They're not real glasses.
Blue light?
They're just blue blockers.
Yeah, that's the ones I have in my office. Because I wear contacts, so I just have the blue light over.
Well, it's smart, though. Like, so if you guys don't know what we're talking about, blue light at night can directly impact your quality of sleep as well as your latency to sleep. So for those of you who are watching TV at night, especially stop. If you can stop, if not, get blue blockers and start with like a nighttime routine. Routine's everything. Do you have a nighttime routine?
Yeah, like a kind of a wind down routine. Get ready for the next day, clean up the kitchen a little bit, shower. I'm always a nighttime shower, so that's a nice decompress, de-stress. Wash my face, everything, go to bed, scroll a little bit, and then go to sleep.
I can't help myself.
I know.
Well, guys, we're getting kind of towards the end here with this episode. If you guys have any questions or want any more information about recovery, injury prevention, you guys can check us out at pelvicharmonyco.com. You can also go to ascendperformancetraining.com. There's blogs. There's other podcasts on here as well for Health or High Water that have some more information talking this. But it's about springtime. Bethany and I thought this was going to be a great time to talk about recovery, prevention, injuries, because, a lot of people are gearing back up for the spring, want to get back into their sports. Some kids are getting back into baseball, doing spring training for football. So this is a perfect time to talk about how we need to treat our bodies. Anything else you want to add before we hang this up for this week?
I think just don't be afraid to go to a movement specialist, a PT, a personal trainer. Even with my education and my work history, in my experience, I still value someone else's eyes looking at how I'm doing things, because you can't see yourself completely objectively all the time through every lift, every movement. So just don't be afraid.
Well, that's why I like working with you and Brett, is there's different perspectives on us trying to solve a problem. Yeah. Right. When we see it ourselves, we only see it through one lens. And our team that we have here and our ability to see different perspectives really gives us a leg up. And grateful for you and Brett, and grateful for all you listeners. Just really grateful. This is actually today. I don't know if you know this. Today is the first day that Health or High Water was created last year. So this is our year anniversary of the inception. Our first episode didn't come out until April 20th. It took us about a month to get things together, but
Yeah.
today's our anniversary of the
The
podcast.
recording anniversary, nice.
And Brett's not here.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
Lame.
Well, based off of all the frequencies and weirdnesses of Florida, he probably feels what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, guys, make sure you guys are checking out pelvicfloorco.com for pelvic floor as well as PT help. Go to SendPerformanceTraining.com. Check that out. We want to thank our sponsors, Gene Planet, U vs. U Clothing, O2 Boost, Pelvic Floor, or Pelvic Harmony, as well as we want to thank the viewers, guys. I mean, listen, we could not do this without you. You guys are making this show possible. So again, make sure you guys are liking, sharing, subscribing. Tell your brothers, friends, cousins, squirrels, best friends, second roommate, twice removed, janitor about this podcast.
Amen.
Till next time.
Bye.
See you guys in April.